Hello everyone, I am Andrianna Merced, an alumni of Philippine School Doha. On behalf of our research group, I'd like to welcome you aboard the flight of our study, The Long Way Home, the social diagramming of Philippine School Doha alumni in the Philippines. To start, I'd like to introduce my fellow researchers and our research advisor. This research study was conducted in Philippine School Doha, located in Doha, Qatar. We live in a world with a diversity of cultures and backgrounds. Thus, it's difficult for one to adjust when traveling from another country. Nevertheless, once we have arrived, got used to that unfamiliarity, and lived there for a very long time, life wouldn't be so hard anymore. But what if we suddenly go back to our home country, and the familiar becomes unfamiliar? This research paper brings out insights about reverse culture shock issues faced in the home country, Philippines, as well as in the host country, which is Qatar. The researchers aim for this research paper to serve as a learning medium and guide on how to cope with reverse culture shock as they return to their home country. This phenomenological inquiry seeks to investigate student repatriate struggles and how they have overcome it, their coping mechanisms, their values, and opinions regarding the changes that they have gone through. As for the methodology, the study used a qualitative approach and made use of a phenomenological research design to gather results to understand the lived experiences of the participants that were involved in the study. Data collected was qualitative, and analysis included an attempt to identify themes or made generalizations regarding how a particular phenomenon was perceived or experienced. In addition, the things that were sought after are the following. The necessary data for this study was gathered through the 25-item semi-structured interview guide, which was also used to discover the students' perception about the chosen topic. Moreover, a robo-photo and demographic sketch were given to each participant. Prior to the interview proper, preparations such as the scheduling of the interview were done. Subsequently, the researchers sought approval from the participants through a consent letter to inform them about the study that they were about to partake in. Data gathered were transcribed verbatim with the help of the recording gadgets of the researchers. As for the data analysis, it follows a 5-step process. The researchers have followed an inductive approach in developing themes. First is listening and re-listening to the audio recordings. Second is doing the emic transcription. Third is transforming emic transcription to etic transcription. Fourth is organizing formulated meanings into categories via a dendrogram. Fifth is creating a simulacrum. Through our in-depth research, we have come up with a simulacrum to interpret our reach results. The borders have 3 colors, maroon to represent Qatar, and red and yellow to represent the Philippines. Additionally, the 4 themes were represented as green, the color of nature for the environmental adjustments, yellow, the color of enlightenment and caution for the educational adjustments, red, the color of feelings for the social adjustments, and lastly, blue, the color of healing and understanding for the emotional adjustments. These 4 major themes represent the most common struggles that student expatriates have adjusted with. Educational adjustment is how an individual handles responsibility towards their education. The 2 main components that influence educational adjustments are academic and curricular performances. Studying in a Philippine school overseas had brought several advantages regarding their readjustment period, as it served as a preparation for them. It taught them that there are similarities in the aspects that can be seen in our home country. The respondents verified. R5 mentioned that, definitely, I feel like if I studied in an international school, I wouldn't have been exposed to even the most minimal Philippine culture, since I'd be more surrounded with that variety of people and probably not too many Filipinos. So it's perfect that I did study in a Philippine school before I went back to study in the Philippines. R1 also mentioned that, of course, it did because they have similarities. For example, being connected with your professors. Unlike if you studied in an international school, the culture and approach is different. Next, social adjustments are efforts to cope up with the standards set by the society to be accepted and valued. A part of social adjustments is cultural adaptation, wherein the students have to exert effort to fully adapt and adjust to their environment. For students who spent most of their lives abroad, it is harder for them. such as they grew up in an environment that may be different from the kind of crowd a person is used to. According to the responses, R5 mentioned that before I went back to the Philippines, I was apprehensive that students in my school would be way out of my league, or that people I would meet are people who I have difficulty with if I didn't do something. So I read a lot about my course and I did a lot of research about how to go around the Philippines from where I'm from. R2 also stated that when we were in Qatar, we were always reminded to be vigilant because it's a different environment in the Philippines. You can't just be negligent, and they reminded us always to be extra careful. Moreover, environmental adjustment referred to the effort exerted to familiarize and engage with surroundings. As for the repatriating students, these would affect their learning. Regarding their learning environment, there would be different experiences in the way they usually learn and digest information. A new environment can be very difficult to cope with, but with the help of the right people, the graduates were able to manage. As the respondent stated, R1 said that I never did feel left out since some of my teachers have the same attitude with some of my teachers back in PSD, which was pretty good. So I didn't have to be too shocked, although they have some stuff they differ in. I'm okay with my friends. School staff are really nice there. Everybody's nice where I'm studying, so I'm doing good. R3 also stated that PSD helped me adapt to my new learning environment through their high standards and many activities that taught me how to multitask, which I have applied it here. Next, emotional adjustment is maintaining emotional balance when challenged by stressors. This can be done with the help of accepting the situation and adapting to the new environment. To aid in emotional adjustment, stress management should be utilized. The respondents went through emotional struggles, dealing and coping with its effects, developing stress management skills, seeking emotional support, and finally achieving emotional maturity. As answered by the respondents, R2 said that, I guess one of the struggles is homesickness. I miss how school is like in Qatar, where it is possible for you to feel relaxed. Here in the Philippines, you're always stressed. Despite studying diligently, you still see bad results and you don't attain the score you're expecting to get. R5 mentioned that it was a bit nerve-wracking, the fact that I had to go to an unfamiliar situation on my own while I'm being expected to be tough and go through it without a problem. It made it hard for me. Still, all the while I couldn't let it get to me, so while it was in my mind the whole time I was still adjusting, I didn't make it affect me too much. Now for the conclusion, moving back to one's home country has brought about several changes and adjustments to students in different aspects, mainly environmentally, socially, educationally, and emotionally, especially after being away from the home country for a long period of time. These challenges and pressure points are extensive and impact their subsequent ability to adjust to life in their host institution. Whether these challenges are overcome or overwhelming, it depends on the individual student. Therefore, a variety of factors have the ability to positively or negatively affect a student's adjustment to university life. The focus is to discuss both the positive and negative effects on the 4 types of adjustment, which impact the overall adjustment to university life. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have finally arrived at our destination. We'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip. Before disembarking, I'd like to end this presentation on a good note. Our life will not constitute within a single point. Your intimate will become distant. But home isn't found somewhere else but within the soul of one. So fasten your seatbelt and prepare for takeoff as you are about to take on this journey called life. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation.